So what Skyway really is, it's an organization using the power of AI, data, technology, and partnerships to solve SDG 4, to educate 1 billion kids before 2030, and to make learning personalized, adaptive, engaging, and fun. Right? So with Skyway, we have learning passports. So these learning passports, basically, they have all of your achievements throughout your whole life. If you want a job, it's basically like a little resume ID that has all of your achievements from your whole entire school life, right? It's encrypted data, and it's a revolutionary. It's also using AI and technology to do this.
Welcome back to Wise on Air, the show where we talk to the world's leading minds on the future of education. My name is Bassem Hijazi, producer of the show. At age 8, Zoya Kalinsky was instructed to leave the classroom by her maths teacher, who told her she can only come back when she stops twitching, a condition outside of her control. Today, that same girl stands confidently in the United Nations Economic and Social Council, addressing global leaders about her experience, the need to solve the bullying issue once and for all, and how we can transform our education systems to achieve that. In this episode, we meet Zoya at 13, fresh from speaking at the UN Summit of the Future and launching ambitious initiatives as Skyway's youth ambassador. The Learning Economy established the Skyway initiative to address the growing need for a modernized approach to learning, as many existing systems struggle to keep up with the demands of an evolving, interconnected global society. Zoya is one of many students pioneering this novel learning model of change. But Zoya isn't just talking about change, she's living it. Between addressing world leaders and developing youth councils, she composes piano pieces about resilience, creates artwork that challenges bullying, and advocates for young voices in rooms where decisions about their future are made, often without their consent. In this episode, WISE director and host Elias Fulful sits down with Zoya to explore how she's experiencing a whole new way of learning with new technologies that could help create a system where no child feels left behind. Together, they unpack what it really means to transform education in an AI-powered world and why having young people at the decision-making table isn't just important, it's essential. Let's jump to Elias to kick off the conversation.
Zoya, I am super excited to talk to you.
Thank you.
You're my first young talent guest. And usually I speak to adults, people who have expertise in a certain field, and I'm never stressed. But today with you, I'm like super excited. I've been reading about your journey. I've been reading about the work you've been doing. We are in Los Angeles. This is home for you.
Yes,
right?
this is home.
So just tell me a little bit about yourself before even getting into the activism or education.
Sure, of course. So I'm Zoya Kalinsky. I'm 13 years old. I was born in New York, and I've been living in Los Angeles ever since I was a baby. So I have two homes, Los Angeles and New York, especially for a lot of my travels. I travel there almost every month. So a little bit about me is, just to get to know me a little bit, is I have Tourette syndrome. So a big part of my advocacy is advocating for kids with disabilities as well and with neurodivergence. Ever since I was at the age of 5, I was bullied, so violently in school. So my parents decided to take me out of school at the age of 9. And ever since then, I've been embracing an alternative schooling lifestyle, which has severely impacted my schooling, and I think that's what mostly has shaped me into who I am today. So if you take a look at me when I was 8, I was a low confidence girl who was scared to come up to anyone because I was bullied and my confidence was completely eroded. And after having the chance to be homeschooled, it was a great opportunity to be able to really explore myself and who I am.
So the spark to activism and this desire to help other young girl not to live the same experiences you had. That's essentially
what really has built my advocacy is my experiences of being bullied and my experiences of having not been challenged enough by the typical school curriculum that was presented to me in school. I mean, everything is typical, and I think people, especially with disabilities and neurodivergence, they all learn differently. And I feel like that really is what sparked my interest into advocacy, is to really highlight and elaborate on the fact that everyone's different and everybody learns differently. And I think we really should respect that and try to adapt to them.
How did you go from you said at 8 years old you were shy to go to people, the confidence was not totally there. How you managed to leapfrog to someone very confident like today? What happened between 8 and 12 that made you become,
So, like I said, homeschooling. I was loved by my parents. I was shown that, respect. I was taught that everyone's different, and a lot of times, bullies, and why my confidence was eroded is because they have their own problems at their house. And a lot of times, so what I like to highlight when I talk about bullying in my advocacy is because a bully, what is a bully? A bully is someone who tries to take advantage of your position and to have power over you. So that usually comes from the home. A lot of my bullies came from broken homes, and I understood the fact that they had no choice. They weren't taught better. So I learned to forgive them, obviously, and that forgiveness really gave me the confidence I needed to be able to step up for others and use my voice to advocate for others.
That is powerful. To be able to put yourself in other person's shoes and forget the act that hurts you.
It wasn't
because
easy.
You're able to portray yourself in, okay, what happened to that person to become bully, and probably he lived something difficult at home because that's very interesting. Homeschooling, this is a unique situation. And I think many of our audiences would love to better understand the experience you're going through with homeschooling, but also some of the learnings and some of the things that you're experiencing that you could share to young people who are still going to traditional type of schooling.
Oh my God, definitely. So homeschooling, as I said, I started homeschooling at the age of 8. And so the way it works is I have private tutors, right? So that's also a big part of why I work with Skyway, is because it's all personalized, it's all adaptive, and each student has their own way of learning, which is why for me, I learn in a very interesting way. Since I have Tourette syndrome, I have kind of a lack of focus at times, right? So being able to take a break during class for 10 minutes to be able to clear my head, right? So that's really why it's so important to highlight the fact that everyone learns differently.
You've been involved in many of these international institutions, but can you tell me your version of how all of this started?
I feel like all of this really started in last year in September, where I had the incredible opportunity of meeting His Excellency Sergio Fernandez de Cordoba through the Public Foundation. He introduced me to a couple of people at UN Women. We actually had a series of interviews where I presented them the speech I had written in advance. I honestly don't even know what brought me to write that speech. It was maybe like just this surge of inspiration or motivation that just came to me at a certain point. And then after that, they offered me the chance to give the speech at the Unite campaign for the 16 Days of Activism, that one event I'm going to next month. And ever since then, I've been involved with the UN Women very closely. We've been doing a lot of work together. I've been involved in global forums, and obviously being able to be involved with the Public Foundation has been incredible because there's such an amazing organization, also partnered with Skyway, which makes it even better, right? So
I've been to some of the events of the Public Foundation, and I think it's a great organization, and I'm super happy that your first point of almost introduction to all of this world is through them. So.
Yeah, so it's so Miss Carrie Bannigan and Sir Sergio Fernandez de Cordoba. I really owe them what has really happened to me throughout my whole, say, mini career in the past year.
Is there anyone that you would love to recognize that made a huge change in the way you've been thinking about this whole journey?
I feel like there were a couple of people in my life who completely changed the way I think. It's definitely Carrie Bannigan, Miss Carrie Bannigan, His Excellency Sir Sergio Fernandez de Cordoba, Amanda Slavin, and Chris Purifoy, because I feel like all these people really, really, really kind of helped me understand what I'm really passionate about.
Are you excited when we have these new tools of AI and all of these new tech tools that are getting us much closer to what we call the personalized learning journey?
Definitely. I feel like AI is a very powerful tool to be used with education, as AI can analyze your education style and give you tips on how you can improve your lifestyle, improve your education style. And that's also a big part of Skyway, using AI to actually drive change, be able to drive personalized learning.
And what is a typical day in homeschooling?
So it's quite odd, to be honest. My day could start at 7 a.m. It could start at 10 a.m.
Yeah.
It could be going until 2 p.m. or going until 8 p.m.
Yeah.
Right? It all varies on the type of day I have, or the way I'm feeling that day. Right? So it's having the opportunity to take a break during class is really good, especially for people with neurodivergence. Yeah. So.
And that's part of the learning, kind of personalized.
Yes, definitely.
I learned during the conference that we do have sometimes moment where we can absorb the information much better, different time of the day, depending on the person. So homeschooling provide you this.
So
this
so actually, homeschooling is actually very similar to Skyway. So really, Skyway isn't a school. It's more of a lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's a different type of learning. It's not a one-time thing, right? So schooling is thought to be from preschool or nursery to college, and then you're done with learning. But that's not what we want. Learning is a journey.
Yeah.
Learning is
lifelong.
It's a lifelong journey that doesn't end at a specific point. You learn throughout your whole entire life, and that is why Skyway is so important, because we are highlighting the fact that learning should go throughout your whole life. Learning should be fun, right? Because also something I like to highlight is kids don't like to study nowadays.
Yeah.
Studying is a chore that people want to get over with as soon as they can, and that is, it makes my heart break, because without learning, you are nothing. It's honestly, because without learning, you are just a person. You have no personality or anything. So with learning, you actually discover who you are and who you could be.
You're very excited about Skyway.
Yes, I am, very much.
I want to know, and our audience want to know more about Skyway.
Yeah, so I'm the youth ambassador for Skyway. And so in a few words, what Skyway really is it's an organization. We're partnered with a lot of philanthropists, organizations, and companies throughout the world, like Roblox, Sesame Street, and more. So what Skyway really is, it's an organization using the power of AI, data, technology, and partnerships to really to solve SDG 4, to educate 1 billion kids before 2030, and to make learning personalized, adaptive, engaging, and fun. Right. So what we're doing is to give you an example, we are having sustainable flight paths. So with Skyway, I feel like in the first part, Sky, we have learning passports. Yeah. So these learning passports, basically, they have all of your achievements throughout your whole life. If you want a job, it's basically like a little resume ID that has all of your achievements from your whole entire school life, right? It's encrypted data, and it's a revolutionary. It's also using AI and technology to do this.
Yeah. And the objective and the ambition is to reach the
1
greatest
billion,
number of people.
Yes, yes, and we're not just another education organization. If you look at a lot of education organizations, they're just to marginalized communities. They're just bringing people to school. Yeah. But the problem is the school. It is the system, and we're not trying to change the system. We're trying to offer an alternative system.
Yeah. What is really important from what I'm hearing is we're focusing on the learning experience, because we could go to a physical environment of a school, and yet the learning is not the priority, because the teacher are not super trained, or the curriculum is not ready, or even the differences between the kids who access schools are.
So I feel like also a big part of my advocacy is the fact that everyone learns differently. And what you said, that the teachers were actually a big part of the bullies. So I have Tourette syndrome, and I was making weird noises when I was in math class, and my teacher made me step out of class because of it. And she said, until you stop, twitching your eye or whatever it was, she wouldn't let me back into class.
Wow.
So really the issue is the students and the school. So it means it's the system, really. So we really want to embrace empathy and passion and respect towards people, especially with those with disabilities and different types of learning styles.
And that's what Skyway
And that's
is,
what Skyway is doing, yes.
about. It's the beginning of the journey for Skyway, correct?
Yes.
And so by 2030, we're going to reach an important number, which is 1 billion.
That is the goal.
And what kind of movement is needed to get, because with technology for sure, we can get scale. And I'm sure that the people behind Skyway are also very much versed into understanding the best curriculum, but how do we, what does it take to reach that number?
I feel like the only way of really achieving this is through private-public partnerships, taking money from the private sector and deploying it to the public sector, and being able to really have money to be able to fund it all. Because being able to reach so many millions, even billions of people, it requires resources,
Exactly.
and without resources, really,
we're not
going
to
to achieve anything.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
what we're actively doing.
So public-private partnerships, government involvement, corporations, the whole
Philanthropist community, yeah.
ecosystem
The whole
that is
ecosystem,
interested
yes,
in education.
yes.
You've been involved in many organizations such as the UN Women, Beijing 30 Plus. I'd love to hear your experience. So these are established organizations. I call them dinosaur organizations. Very established, run by adults who are sometimes disconnected from the reality of young people. First of all, tell me your experience in these kind of, when you access these rooms, what do you observe? And where do you feel there's rooms for improvement? And I'll ask you the third question.
Yeah,
after.
definitely, because I'd like to elaborate on that. So I think there's a lot of room for improvement, and I'm not going to go, accusing the UN of anything, right? That wouldn't be right. But what I would like to highlight is, I was declined at registration for the Summit of the Future because I'm under 18. So we really see this imbalance of, people who are adults and young people who all actively will bring new, fresh ideas and experiences, and they're just cut off of that because of their age. So that is actually, I did a podcast with an activist, very, 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 very amazing activist, Yasmina Ben Salman, who we discussed actually why having youth in decision-making spaces is so important. And that is actually also part of Skyway, and also part of my very, very big part of my advocacy is having youth be able to be in these rooms talking about how they want to see their future, right? Because we're talking about youth without youth actually in the room. The Summit of the Future was an event to discuss the youth, to discuss the future, and we are the future. Youth is the future, and discussing us without us is not right. I'm actively founding a body within Skyway called the Youth Youth Ambassador Council.
Excellent.
So it's going to be a youth council within Skyway, which is going to be a bunch of young leaders directly advising Skyway on their ideas, right? So we've actually had incredible ideas already come through, such as having unskippable ads on YouTube, powered obviously by Skyway, an unskippable ad during for YouTube Kids per se, and you have to solve a math equation, fill out an English little or like a puzzle, right? So incorporating learning into fun without basically kids even knowing that they're learning, right? So we're actually actively looking for 10 to 15 kids, ages 9 through 17, that are going to organize this and actually create this with us.
From around the world.
From
that could
all
be
around the world.
championing
Yes, we're going to have people from India already, England. One of my best friends actually is creating this with me. So we're looking for kids to actually want to change.
What are some of the condition, or not the condition? What is the best kind of profile that you envision them to join this group of influencers and championing?
Actually, to take a step back, I never actually knew I wanted to do advocacy before I actually got the opportunity to do it, right? So a lot of people don't actually know they have a passion for something until they actually embrace it, right? So I feel like anyone who really just has an even little spark of passion about education and about youth, everyone's welcome.
So
and
you're about to change
this
some
is
young
this is
people's
going
life
to
as
be
well.
this is going to be a global movement. This is going to be a global movement, like per se the Scouts, who Skyway is also partnered with,
Yeah.
the Boy and Girl Scouts, and it's going to be a global movement. We're gonna have millions of people join, and it's going to be a youth council, and it's going to be revolutionary.
Why is so important now, this movement?
Why is this important now? Because unfortunately, a lot of governments, a lot of policy is based on, number one, patriarchy, and number two, people, and I'm not going to say old people, but I will say people who...
You can say old people.
Oh,
it's fine.
old people, right. So people who have, per se, more experience, right? But that experience is based on things in the past that, unfortunately, are out of date and are expired, if you will, right? So all these norms from 50, 60, maybe even 30 years ago, they're out of date. People now are completely different from then 30, 40 years ago, and they learn in a different way, and they want to engage in different ways. So I feel like really having youth in decision-making spaces is very important, because like I said, what are we talking about youth without youth?
So part of the cool aspect of homeschooling is traveling.
Traveling,
so you
yeah.
Have
So,
been, you have been
I'm gonna-
traveling
yeah.
while doing homeschooling.
I'm going to do a little
which is super
promotion
cool,
of
right?
homeschooling. It's truly incredible being able to take 2 weeks off in September to go to the United Nations General Assembly.
Yeah. But you've been working. You haven't. This is like a better learning experience.
Yes, also traveling is part of my learning,
Yeah.
and traveling and going to all these UN meetings and events, it's all learning. Especially now that, working with an education program, Skyway, my whole journey is learning, right? Every single second of my life, right now
Is
we're learning.
Yes. Yeah.
Later, I'm going to talk to my dad about this interview. I'll be learning.
Yeah.
Later, I'm going to be
Yeah.
doing history. I'm learning.
Yeah.
And at night, right? It's a really interesting connection between humans and education
Yeah.
that we've had throughout the whole entire time of from the Homo habilis from now,
Yeah.
right? So it's
All right. So we're in London now. All right. Let's pretend.
Let's pretend, okay.
We just started our day. So how the homeschooling day will look like, and we can go to physical spaces. Okay, I'll make it. I'll make it easy. We can go to museums. We can go to parks. What will be the learning experience in a day like today in London?
it's funny because I was in London last week.
Oh, wow.
So there I was attending a lot of events we had a roundtable dinner with Skyway. And so a typical day for me would look like, if I don't have any classes, which is quite rare, I'm probably going to go to a museum.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to walk around, look around beautiful statues in London, because
Yeah.
it's a truly incredible city. But most often when I travel, I'm traveling for a specific speech or an event or a meeting. So I feel like that is all part of my learning process.
So you travel for reasons as you're contributing to the movement that you're about to
Yes.
create, and the advocacy you're pushing for,
Yeah.
and all these amazing
Yeah.
conversations.
I don't think I've traveled just for fun and enjoyment
Yeah.
in a year.
Yeah. What are some of the cities that really captured your heart? And
Ooh,
Yeah.
interesting question. So probably London. It's actually a place where I want to study in the future. So a big part of my London trip was meeting with the head of partnerships for education in Cambridge, also Skyway's partnership for helping with research and everything. So Cambridge is actually where I want to study in the future. So I feel like really Cambridge, the actual city, was incredible.
yeah, it is such a beautiful.
It's a beautiful city, and also I think New York, because I'm there
Yeah.
so often. It's like my second home.
Yeah.
So I actually haven't traveled that much all over the world for speeches, as this is quite new for me as
Yeah.
well. I've only been involved with Skyway for about only 3 months. So I hope there will be more incredible experiences, and I'm sure there will be.
I am pretty sure we're gonna see you in many places. I have this privilege to interview you today, but I'm pretty sure you will have access to really amazing stages where you deliver this powerful message. History and arts. You love history, you love
Yes.
learning about history, and you also love arts.
Yes, so a big also part of my advocacy is art and music. So also as Skyway is also a partnership with an organization called Advocacy, which is an organization dedicated to bringing art and music to heal.
Yeah.
Right? So they're actually having their annual gala called Heaven every January. So we're bringing fundraisers to, raise money for the organization. So it's I paint a lot. So I had a
I saw some of them.
Thank you. Yeah, I was.
Again, it's beautiful. It's impressive. It's beautiful, and it's powerful because the arts that I've seen, the painting I've seen from you, are all message driven,
Yes.
and it's powerful.
Yes. So I'm actually currently working on a new painting. All of them are really centered around bullying, and really. I had this one painting. I actually had 3 paintings showcased at a UN Women event when I was in New York, and I also gave a performance on the piano. So I wrote this piece around a year ago about bullying and about the journey of a young girl going through the stages of lost confidence, out of school, embracing alternative education style, and then getting the confidence to be bright and a young girl again.
Is it a liberating action
Yes.
when you paint?
Yes.
You get something.
Yes,
out of,
it's always it always comes to me at
Yeah.
this random point
Yeah.
in day.
Yeah. And since you're homeschooling, so you don't have those set hours of you can dedicate time to
Yes.
the moment of inspiration
Yes.
and that moment of liberation. You also play piano.
Yes, and I write my own compositions.
You okay? Wow, tell me more.
Yeah, so like I said, I played a piano piece, my piano piece, at a UN Women event.
Yeah.
It was a Feminist Futures Festival discussing the importance of multilateralism and feminism and women in decision-making spaces, obviously, and ending violence against women and girls. So I gave my composition. I played it. I got a lot of beautiful feedback from it, which really warmed my heart that people are actually there listening to it and actually being inspired. Because a lot of my music and art is about inspiring and motivating others to do something about it, right?
You've been meeting interesting people recently.
Definitely.
Young and adults.
Yes.
Can you share some of the young people that have been an inspiration for you, and also some of the older people that are doing work that is inspiring for you?
Well, when I was at a UN Women event, I had the incredible opportunity to meet Malala Yousafzai.
Yeah.
So I met her. She's my role model. She is so inspiring to be able to go, and especially because she advocates for education. And I'm sure everyone knows her story because she's one of the most famous activists in the world, really, being shot and then having to go through terrible things, and because the Taliban wouldn't let education. And she has brought education to so many millions of people, and I'm so inspired by her.
Yeah.
So she's my role model. So she's one of the youth that I met. I also met so many incredible people. I met this 6-year-old, an advocate for climate when I was at the UN. It really warmed my heart seeing that there were actually young people at the UN. Maybe not as much as we want, but progress is moving.
But I love that you're inspired by your kind of young people.
Yes.
So the adulthood is not.
No. I feel like every single person who I meet inspires me in some way, right? You inspire me. Chris inspires me.
Thank you.
Everyone around me inspires me in a different aspect of my life, right? So I really want to say thank you to everyone who I've met, all the adults, all the young people, because all of them, every single encounter shapes who I am, right? So
many beautiful projects coming for you.
Thank you.
But I want to hear your what's next, and if we look to the horizon of the next 5 years.
What's next for me?
Yes.
Well, I was hoping you say next for me within the next month because there's a lot. But next week I have a radio show through my homeschooling program I lead. So and then I have the Unite campaign, the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women and Girls. That will be the event, the first place I gave the speech at last year, November 22nd. That event, it's going to bring back a lot of memories, and it's going to be wonderful being able to support UN Women at that event. It's probably one of my favorites during the year. And then after that, we have a bunch of little events throughout the year, and then probably my most exciting one is in April, April 15th, probably, yes, at the UN or Skyway Summit, the launch, the ribbon cutting. I'm so excited for that. I'm also going to be launching my youth council there.
So we're going to have the 10 amazing kids that are going to championing this program. We'll have the whole story ready to say, okay, how are we going to reach the billion learners? This is exciting.
Very, very.
This is super exciting. So we're gonna have an amazing end of 2024 and a greater beginning of 2025.
2025, yes.
It's such a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you so much.
It's such a pleasure to see this enthusiasm and dynamism. I really, really, really wish you the only very best and a lot of success. And I'm excited to be part of this journey. And I'm excited to see how people like me and Chris and others can support your dreams even more. Thank you.
Thank you so much for doing this with me. You, like everyone else, is inspiring me.
You're
Thank
awesome.
you.
She's awesome. She's awesome.